Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us and welcome to our live presentation. Today's topic will be inactive teams, groups, and sites governance with Syskit Point. My name is Ivan and I'm a sales manager at Syskit. And here with me is my great colleague Eva, who will be showing you a demo in a minute or so. Many of you already know us as a company, but for those who don't, let me introduce you to Syskit. Syskit is a software development company founded more than 10 years ago. We develop products for Office 365 governance and auditing, as well as administration and monitoring solutions for SharePoint on-prem. We currently have more than 3,000 customers in over 75 countries worldwide, and some of them are well-known and large organizations, as you can see from our slide. We currently have 6 products, as you know, our famous SP Docket for on-prem documentation, as well as Syskit Point for Office 365 governance and security. So just before we start, just a few housekeeping rules. All registrants will receive a recording of the sessions within a couple of days. After Eva's presentation and demo of Syskit Point, we will have a Q&A session with Eva and myself, where you can ask any questions you might have throughout the session or demo. So feel free to ask any questions that pop into your mind. And please feel free to use the Q&A function on the top right of the screen to ask your questions throughout the session. I will now turn things over to Eva. Eva, are you there?
Hi, Ivan. Thank you for introducing me. I'm here. Let me just share my screen. Okay. So do you guys, Ivan, maybe you can tell me, do you see my screen?
Yeah, loud and clear. I can see it.
Perfect. Okay, so like Ivan mentioned, today's session is going to be about the lifecycle management. But in order to get us started, let's just quickly remind ourselves what is Syskit Point for those who didn't have a chance to try it. So Syskit Point is the Office 365 solution. It helps you govern your users, access, and content. It supports multiple Office 365 services, so you can document and report on Microsoft Teams, SharePoint Online, Office 365 groups, OneDrive, and of course, all types of users. When we decided that we wanted to create a tool, we wanted Syskit Point to be a centralized place for your Office 365 governance and security. We wanted to help you ensure control over your environment, to easily report on who has access to what down to the file level, but also to improve user and content management, but most importantly, automate common IT tasks. So one of those tasks is today's topic, and we will hear more about it later on. What's also important to notice is that Syskit Point is not only an admin tool. So we also created a role-based access for our customers so that Syskit Point can be used by owners, managers, team leads, chief security officers. So whoever needs to be included in the Office 365 governance can also access Syskit Point. Okay, so why is this lifecycle management so important? So what are the common reasons that we hear why companies decide that they need some kind of governance policy for the lifecycle management? If you buy Office 365 license, you of course want to be sure that they are properly used. You want to enable people to love this platform, to use it every day. So sometimes you allow self-service just to help them create all those resources, especially Microsoft Teams. And this can quickly escalate if you don't have proper governance policies. So this can definitely lead to chaos. But adoption is really important. So you definitely want to have some sort of policies in place. Due to this coronavirus, most of the companies needed to switch to remote work really fast. Some migration projects that needed to take months happened overnight. So Microsoft Teams implementation got rapidly speed up. So probably most of us didn't have enough chance to install some proper Office 365 governance rules. So these are all the situations where your Office 365 environment can definitely become bigger and bigger until you can no longer administer it in a proper manner. So we decided to help you So my last point on this slide was additional licensing cost. So if you cannot afford perhaps to have the AD premium license, your company just switched so fast, Syskit Point as a third-party tool instead of some PowerShell scripts can definitely help you out. So with Syskit Point, we decided to create an automated Office 365 process that helps you empower and include all resource owners so that they proactively manage their resources as soon as they're no longer needed. So what does that mean? It means that Syskit Point includes your owners to take the responsibility what needs to be done with their resources. And that's definitely great because they are the one person that can definitely know if this content is needed or not, if this project is done or not. So you're lifting off the burden of your IT team and you are giving that responsibility to the people who actually need to do these kind of things. Of course, once you clean up your environment, that definitely helps with the administration, and directly that means improved security. But it's not only security, so your teams will be able to find what they need when they need it. There will be no confusion if that's still relevant or not. So cleaning your environment definitely improves productivity, but also collaboration. And as I mentioned in the beginning, since this process is done by the owners, by the people who know what needs to be done, this process is definitely more reliable than just relying on your admins to manually ping the owners, check if this is still relevant, manually check for the content, manually check if there are some changes, if this site is being actively used or team. This is all done by Syskit Point. Okay, but what can actually be governed in this lifecycle management process? So Syskit Point allows you to keep activity of your Microsoft Teams, Office 365 groups, and also SharePoint online sites. So all these types of resources can be included, but of course it depends on your requirements, which one you will choose to include. And who can actually collaborate in this process? So those are, of course, resource owners, like I mentioned a couple of times until now, but also Office 365 administrators, because Syskit Point allows them to monitor that process. So, of course, we do not let this process go unmonitored. They get the reports, they're updated weekly, what's going on, and they can definitely override all those actions if something goes wrong. But it's also good for the chief security officers because they also have a really good overview what's going on in your Office 365 environment. Just a short overview of how this process actually looks like. So we decided to include two personas. So first ones are admins. They need to configure the tool, make sure that there are no orphan resources, because if they don't have active owner, nobody will be able to decide what to do with it. They can keep process during the entire time of Syskit Point monitoring the activity. And of course, they can always check the results and know what's going on in their environment. When it comes to the owner side, they receive the automated notification. They come directly to their email, so they're notified that some of their resources are inactive. They get to make the decision. There are multiple options, as you will see. And of course, if they forgot, they will be reminded so that none of the inactive resources go unattended. So let's take a look how this actually looks like in Syskit Point. So first step is the admin side. First thing first, Syskit Point needs to allow your owners to access those reports and that automation tasks. So you need to include the owners using role-based access control in Syskit Point. So once you include Syskit Point collaborators, both your site collection administrators for the classic sites, but also the owners for the modern sites, teams, and groups will be able to use Syskit Point and to actively collaborate in this process. Second step would be to actually enable this feature. So you need to decide, or of course, maybe you already have in your company defined, what would be the threshold when you would like to define that some resource is marked as inactive. So this is this first part. I selected to put 90 days. Of course, you can change this number to fit your company's policies. And then I need to decide as an admin which actions I actually want to allow my owners to do. So there are 3 default actions. It's keep, archive, and delete. Keep just prolongs the life cycle of the resource. So if there are some legal reasons or compliance that you need to keep some sites even though they're inactive, then you can keep it. There are custom periods, so you can choose between multiple options. The default one would be this that you define. So once you keep it for the first time, their resources lifecycle is prolonged for this defined threshold of days. Second option is the archive. So you review the resource, you saw that your team is no longer needed, the project is done, but there may be some data or you just want to be sure that somebody won't be needing it anytime soon, so you can archive it. It will be kept in your environment, but users will not be able to access it, only owners can manage it. And the third option is to delete it. So if you're completely sure that this is no longer wanted, you can delete it and that's it. As I said, automatic reminders are also available. So this is up for you to choose if you want to include those reminders for your owners or not. Most important thing here is actually to choose your targeting really wisely. Syskit Point allows you to include all sites, teams, and groups, as I mentioned before. You can, of course, choose just one or all or a different combination, but you can also whitelist some specific resources, like I mentioned. For example, if you have your legal site where some documents need to be kept for a longer period of time, you don't want them to include them in the lifecycle process, then you can select just some specific sites that should not be monitored and keep all rest monitored. And before the process is started, you can also directly manage the orphan resources, meaning that you can switch those disabled or deleted users and owners and put some active owners to actually manage the resources that are detected by Syskit Point. Once this everything is done, your owners will start to do the actions, and you as the admin will get the weekly digest. So it goes directly to your email. You can see how it looks like on the right-hand side. So if there are some resources that are unattended, meaning that nobody has answered to them, nobody did an action, or they're just became orphaned, then you will be able to directly manage them. But you can also keep track of how many actually inactive resources have been detected and see more details about them. So you're always kept in the loop. You're not definitely being in the dark of what your owners are doing. And in the end, you also have this really detailed dashboard. It will tell you which actions the owners actually do, how many active inactive resources you have. And again, it will remind you that there are some resources that need to be managed by you. And if something goes wrong, you can definitely override owner's action. So for example, if somebody archives something or deleted by accident, you can restore it, but that also can be done by the owners themselves, which is also really, really good. And that's it. That's what the admins need to do. The rest is up to Point. So let's take a look what happens once you let this process run in your environment. So now we are the owners. And first thing is we get the automated task notification. You can see it on this image. So Syskit Point will send you an email. It will tell you that some resources, for example, this is my rebranding group, has been marked as inactive because there hasn't been any activity, so nobody has been using it. And I can decide what I want to do with it. You can see these 3 actions that I mentioned, so keep, archive, delete. But if you're not sure, you can definitely click for more details. If you don't want to decide right away, then tool will take you to the Syskit Point interface and give you more information to actually help you make the decision. So if you decide that you don't have enough data in this email to make a decision, then Syskit Point will present you this nice dashboard. So this is the information that will probably help you because, for example, you have the description, so you know what this project, team, or group has been about. You can see other owners. You can see when it has been created, if this is something old or recent. You can also check when was the last activity exactly. But what's really important, you can see how many files you have. So if this is some group or team that has 0 files and only you are the member, that's definitely a group or team that you want to delete because probably you tested something and it's no longer needed. But if you see there is important content, so you can see the entire hierarchy here, you can decide what to do with it, and you will be sure that that was the right decision. So when it comes to these actions, here are more information of what they actually do to your resources. So the first action keep, will not touch your user access, so permissions will remain intact, nothing will be removed, all the owners and members, all the shared files, external users, everything will remain the same. The same goes for the content, so nothing is deleted, nothing is moved. The only thing that happens is that we prolong their life cycle for the defined period or for the period that you selected when you decided to keep this resource. If by any chance you want to change your mind, additional actions are available. You will see it, how it looks like in the interface, but you can definitely later on archive it or delete it once you see that this resource is no longer needed, because Syskit Point will also give you the activity reports regardless of this automation, so you can actually delete and archive items and resources whenever you want. Second action is the archive. So this action definitely changes your resources in a way that it will remove all the members from your group and team. It will remove all sharing links, all guests, all external users. It will move the site to read-only mode, and only owners and site administrators will be able to access it. So since the only owners can access it, content is also accessible only to owners. So no members will be able to see those files anymore. But if that's something that is not good, if that was not the right decision, then again, owners and admins and global admins can perform restore or delete. So if you did this by mistake, you can restore the item, you can restore the group. It will return your members and they will be able to see and access those files again. If this is something that you no longer need, then you can delete it and that's it. And the last action is a delete, so it's a classic action. Once you delete it, nobody can access it. There is no content for you to see. It's in the recycle bin. And again, there is additional action available. You can restore it as long as it's visible in the Microsoft recycle bin. For the classic size, that would be up to 93 days. For teams and groups, that's 30 days since you deleted them. Okay, so a lot of actions, a lot of options. Hopefully, I gave you all the details. Of course, you can always ask us for more if needed. I perform my action, but of course, I want to know what's happening with my resources. I'm still the owner. I can also check how my sites, how my groups and teams are looking at. So I can always use Syskit Point to see all the sites, teams, and groups that I archived. I have a special view for deleted sites, and they also have this small banner. So once you open them in Syskit Point, you will know that they're archived, and additional action will be visible. So if it's an archive site, you will be able to delete it or restore it, and similar goes to deleted sites. So everything is visible in Syskit Point, nothing is lost, and you can still do the right thing, even if you did something that's maybe not 100% correct. And that's it. So this is the entire process. Now let's see how this actually looks like in our tool. So let me just open my Syskit Point. So this is Syskit Point interface. You can see it's in a web browser. As I mentioned, first we need to actually configure this feature. So you can either use the settings dropdown or you can use this governance tile where every automation process is hidden. So I will use my governance tile. You have also the permissions review that we did in a previous webinar, but for this one, I will check the lifecycle management. So Syskit Point will tell me that this feature is not still enabled, so I will go to the settings as the tool suggests. First thing, I need to define which email will be sent as for all these emails. So for me, this is my admin, this is my account. You can change this email to anything that suits you, and you can also choose between Exchange Online or SNTP, so whichever option suits you better. So once I put this email here, all the emails my owners will be receiving will be shown as sent from me. So that's first step. If I go back to the lifecycle management, this is the threshold I was mentioning. So you need to define how long does Syskit Point need to wait before declaring that resource is inactive. For me, in this case, this is 180 days. Again, as I said, you can change those numbers to whatever suits you. It can be 1 month, quarter, or even a year. Second thing, I need to enable my feature. So let me just save my setting and make sure that everything is correct with this threshold. Then I need to enable Syskit Point collaborators role. So I forgot about that one, but Syskit Point reminded me. So in order for my owners to actually be able to access this tool, I need to enable them. So this is the security part, the role-based access. There are multiple roles in Syskit Point. So there are admins, those are the guys who see everything in your environment. We also provide the global viewers role. So those are the people who maybe need to do the external audit or chief security officers. So they will be able to see all the reports, but won't be able to do any actions. And in this case, I need my collaborators. So I will turn this option on. And this is it. I'm now allowing my owners of the resources to actually be able to access Syskit Point and do these kind of tasks. Again, I'm going back to the lifecycle management, and now I can enable this feature. So for this purpose, I will remove the delete action. I don't want my owners to be able to delete any resources, so I'm only giving them keep or archive option. I also want to have my automatic reminder sent. I don't want to do anything manually. And that's it. Again, I will save these options before I continue to configure what I actually want to have included in the process. So first thing, you can select all resources, meaning that even the ones that are recently created, they will immediately be added to this process. But in this case, I really want to have some of the resources excluded, so I want to whitelist them. I will save it again just to see how many resources I actually have. Syskit Point will now count that for me and allow me to select it. So once I select here, this is the list of all my sites in the entire environment. It's the sites, it's the groups, and it's the teams. So for example, I want to include them all except my finance site. So once I deselect this site, this group, it's the blue icon, it means that this finance site will not be included in the lifecycle management. So whatever needs to be excluded, just simply deselect it, save the options, and that's it. You will also notice this additional option that I select. So it's the auto select new resources. Even though I excluded some of the sites, for example, my finance site, you can still set to point that everything that's created fresh, so every new team or group, let them be included in the lifecycle management. Again, you can modify this selection whenever you want. So if there is another site that needs to be excluded, you can always come back here and do that. So now I have 51 sites included. If I drill down, I get the preview of who are my owners for those sites. And if there are any orphan sites, Syskit Point will tell me. So once I click show here, it will tell me that this site has a disabled owner, and I can also immediately change it here, add additional owners, or simply remove the Gonia and add someone new. I won't be doing that this time, but you can definitely do it directly from Syskit Point. So that's it. With this last part, with the targeting, I configured my Syskit Point, and I can now wait for Syskit Point to detect inactive resources. Let's switch to the other part. So now I'm switching to Jonathan. So this is my resource owner, and you can see that this is his inbox. He received the tasks. That's the famous tasks. So it says project management is inactive. It will tell me how long it has been inactive. So for example, this has been inactive for more than a year. And I have 15 days to actually decide what I want to do with it. Again, you can see the available actions. And I'm really not sure if I need to keep it, archive it, or delete it. But even if I'm not sure, once I click the action, so if I click the action here, it will take me to Syskit Point, and you will be asked to confirm. So the action won't happen immediately, don't worry. You still have a chance to change your mind. But I want to see more info before I make the decision, so I will click to see more details in Syskit Point. And let's see what the tool will tell me. This is the task details, as you saw in the presentation. So now I can see who are the other admins. So I'm Jonathan Smith. I can see that Eva is another admin. There is no description, which is not a good sign. I don't know why this has been created. It has been created 2 years ago, which is also a sign that probably this needs to be deleted. But I can also check my files. So this is a tile that will tell you the count. And if I click on it, you can actually see which files are here. So this includes all document libraries, all subsites that may be there, and definitely all the files. So I can see that these files are definitely not something that I need. And I can see all other users that are here, so not much of them. So a big chance is that I no longer need this project management site. And of course, this inactivity period definitely tells me that it's not being used. So first thing first, just for this presentation, if I, by any chance, want to keep it, when I click on the Keep button, this is the period that you get to choose. So this is the default period, is the number of days that you put as an inactivity threshold. But you can also select 1 year, 2 year, or any custom range that you decide. It will tell you and your owners what this action actually does. And if you want to leave any comment for other owners or your admins, you can do that as well. By clicking on the key button, this group will be kept. Another action is the archive. So again, this form tells you that users won't be able to access the content, but I will still be able to restore it if needed. And again, I can leave a comment just to make sure that other owners are aware why I did this action. By typing in the archive, I can actually confirm that. And the similar goes for the delete option. So your owners will get the list of things that will happen once they click the button. So you can restore it from the recycle bin. It's up to Microsoft recycle bin threshold, how long it can be kept, and they will not be able to access any content, so neither owners nor the members. And again, by typing in delete, I'm confirming what I want to do with this action. And that's it. Basically, once I click any of these options, I'm done with my task. But if I want to see what's been going on in my environment, what's been going on with my resources, then I can go back to the sites or teams and groups. It depends what you are looking at. So if I go to the sites, there is on the left-hand side a predefined list of views. So I can keep track of deleted sites, inactive sites, and archived sites. So for example, I want to see which sites have been archived. I can see that Eva has been archiving some sites. And again, if I click on this checkbox next to my site, I immediately get the action to restore it. The same goes for the deleted view or any other view. I just want to show you one more thing. So this is the site overview. You can add additional information here. So there are multiple options for you to choose. You can see who archived it, who deleted it, who did any action. But this column activity this will immediately tell you the state of your resources. So this is the same view for the owners and the admins, but admins will see all the resources and the owners will only see it for there. So the green color will tell you that this site is actively used. The gray icon will tell you that this is inactive site, so it hasn't been used, there hasn't been any user activity for the defined period of days. And this yellow or orange dot will tell you that this has been kept. So office management site was kept by Quark because he said he needed it. So this site was actually detected by Syskit Point that it was inactive, but Quark decided that this needs to be kept. So he did the action, and now you can keep track of those kind of sites as well. So this site won't be included in the lifecycle management until this defined period is done. And that's it. That's perfect. So owners get to do the action. Owners get to keep track of their actions. Now let me go back to my admin view. So again, I'm the admin. I'm admin and at our Syskit Contoso environment. Of course, I want to be sure that I know what my owners are doing in my environment. So if I go to the governance style, I'm not going to configure any settings now. I'm going to take a look of what's going on. So this is the overview for my lifecycle management automation. This first number, it will tell me how many resources I, as an admin, need to take care of. So if I click on the Resolve Now button, I actually get more details. Why do I need to take care of it? Because my owners skipped their tasks, so Jonathan hasn't been doing a lot. And also, if there are any orphaned resources, they will be listed here, so you can immediately change the owners. So if I don't want to remind them anymore, I can simply do the action right away here, so I can keep it, archive it, or delete it. I can also check all the resources that have been detected as inactive. Again, you get the list, you get more information, which workload has been active, which is not. And this nice dashboard will actually tell you which actions have been performed by your owners. So the predefined period is last 30 days, but you can change that. You can put last 7 days, any desired period that you want. So this tile here, it will tell you how many resources have been deleted, how many kept, and how many archived. And if I click on the view history, I actually get to see who did what to which resource. So for example, I have my team office management, as we saw when we were the owners. This team has been kept by Quark Blunt, but you as the admin now can actually see all those actions in historical view. Of course, this is a demo environment, so you have only 3 resources, but if there are more of them, you can also filter by these styles, so you can only keep track of archived or deleted sites. So whatever suits you best. And again, by clicking on a checkbox next to this or any other resource, you can override the owner's action. And for example, even though this team site has been deleted by Quark, I can restore it and give other members and owners access again to actually save their data or do whatever it needs to be done. So this is the governance part, but the same applies as for the owners. If I go to my site, I have this nice inventory of all my resources. As an admin, I can see all sites, teams, and groups. I can see who are the owners. And again, I can keep track of my activity. So everything is at the palm of my hand. So that's it as far as it comes to the demo. Okay, let me just go back to my presentation. Ivan, do we have some questions maybe?
So first of all, Eva, thank you for a wonderful demo. You've done a great job, so kudos to you.
Thank you, thank you.
So regarding the questions, first we have some interesting questions from our session earlier from the Europe session. One of the customers asked, so I think it's a really good question. So is there a possibility to operate the tool in a multi-tenant environment?
Yes, you can definitely connect multiple tenants and do all these reports and automation for each one of them.
Okay, thank you for that. Other question is for the email setting where you send the automatic emails. Do I have to create a specific mailbox in Office 365?
So there is no need to create a dedicated mailbox. It definitely depends on your wishes. So you can use some existing mailbox or create a new one. There's definitely no recommendation. You can use yours, but maybe it's a good thing to use some familiar mailbox for users just so that they're aware this is important task and that it's not some phishing scam or something like that.
Okay, thank you. And to add to that question, so can I customize those emails? So add my logo, template, whatever.
Yeah, so in this currently released version, you cannot do it. But if you took a closer look at my demo, you can see that in one of my slides or in one of my screens, there is already an option to enter your logo and some customizations. So this is coming in the next version, which is actually really soon in July. So you will be able to enter your logo and some customized parts of the email, so you can write down where to send all the inquiries, maybe to some support site or any additional information that will help your owners to do the task and believe to these emails that they need to actually do it.
Okay, thank you for that. One question just came in from Russell. Russell came in late, so Russell asks, does this tool have a provisioning engine as well?
No, not at this point. We do have that on our roadmap, but at this moment, we just concentrated on this medium part, the activity, and the end part of putting them to rest or prolonging their life cycle. But the provisioning is something that we are discussing.
Okay, and just to tell you that Sean told you that nice work on the points tool. So thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. It's good to see that you're here. Maybe next time we can do it together. So keep in touch.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
One question from the sales side that customers have asked is how Syskit Point tool is licensed. So when we are talking about the enterprise license, Syskit Point is licensed per Office 365 user you have in your tenant. So if you have 5,000 users, you would need a license for those 5,000 users, but we don't place any limitations on a number of users and admins that can access the tool. And we don't count external users towards the licensing. I don't see any other questions. Yeah. So
I just want to add one thing that I forgot. So this was really good for me, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. But if you have any additional questions, something that comes to your mind, Ivan put a nice slide. So please do not hesitate to contact us, send us your emails, send us your feedback and suggestions, just like Russell did. So the product team is always open to feedback, and we really want to build a solution that will help you. So give us a ring or send us an email. We are happy to hear your impressions.
Yeah, we're definitely here to answer all your potential questions. So feel free to shoot us an email or arrange a call. So whatever works for you. And it was a pleasure having you all here. So see you next time.